Hi guys, for those who haven't seen the first video in this series where on behalf of Andy and the guys at McConks I was talking about the 9.8 Go Free, which is their hybrid crossover board, so designed for windsurfing with the foot straps, the hard release rail, wind SUP as well as paddling. If you haven't seen that, check it out. But again, for those who haven't seen that, who am I? I'm Tez Plavenieks. What do? I edit SUPM UK and Windsurfing UK magazines. I have a long history in both windsurfing and stand-up paddleboarding, so I understand wind sports and paddle sports and the various bits in between. And that's why I'm talking to you. Andy asked me to give an overview of the 9.8 Go Free, and also in this video he asked me to talk about the wing, because as yet it's still a little bit of an unknown for many people, certainly within stand-up paddleboarding who don't come from a wind sports background, which is understandable because stand-up paddleboarding by its very definition is, in a traditional sense, sort of about paddles as opposed to these kinds of things. So what is this? So wings were initially developed in the early 80s. As windsurfing evolved back in the day, people looked to experiment and see what they could drive a craft, engine a craft forwards with, and they came up with these wings. But back then they were very different. They were hard strut type affairs, whereas these are inflatables, and modern wings very much utilise inflatable technology. That's why you have these air bladders, if you like, and what that actually does is make these wings of today very much more user friendly than they were previous. For a start, these are very light. This is extremely lightweight. You know, I can lift it with one finger. This, the McConks Go Fly, is 5 meters squared, so it's around the middle part of the size range. You can get 4 meter wings, you can get 3 meter wings. I think there are a few smaller ones now, and they're definitely sort of building in size. I think you can get 6s, 7s. If I'm not mistaken, I think you can now get 8 meter wings. And the idea behind them is that you jump on your stand-up paddleboard on a breezy day and make use of the wind, because everybody who's paddled in wind knows, even a little bit of wind will know that it's a bit arduous, particularly paddling into the wind and the chop and the swell. Coming back downwind is fine. Downwinders within SUP, that's been a thing for a long time, using the wind to push you along as well as the roll and swell. But actually, in terms of going across the wind, if you imagine the wind direction being the straight part of a T and you the top part of a T, that's what I mean by across the wind. That type of paddling can be a bit arduous, like I say, and certainly the going into the wind. So wings come around, you know, to sort of help with that, but actually they're more than that. They're actually the bridge between kite surfing, windsurfing and stand-up paddleboarding, because those who are really good at wing surfing or wing foiling, I'll come to the foiling element in a minute, are actually really good at a number of those other disciplines, if not all of them. So they've got wind sports backgrounds, but they can also paddle as well to a relatively decent level. But you don't actually have to have that level to use these, I should reiterate. Foils, I mentioned that word just now. Foils is definitely a thing with wings. The problem back in the day with wings was the board technology wasn't quite efficient enough to make use of what wings could actually do. Unfortunately, wings are low power, and windsurfing is high power, if you want to describe it that way. And because these wings are also not attached to the board, the hydrodynamic and aerodynamic properties don't work quite efficiently enough, or didn't back in the day. Now, with the explosion of hydrofoils, wings for a good many are prime to give a different experience and actually increase water time no end. And the reason being is these big hydrofoil wings is a term that's used quite a lot. This is a wing, but you also have wings on hydrofoils, the big things that help you lift and fly. They are now so efficient that actually the low power properties of a wing like this will mean any rider, after a little bit of practice, will be able to get up on the foil and fly across the water using this as their initial power source, which then transfers down into the hydrofoil and gives that efficient, dragless, frictionless ride across the water. If you haven't seen it, have a look online, you'll see what I mean. And that's why wings have, certainly last year was the year that they properly exploded back onto the scene in this form as an inflatable product. But they've also been touted a little bit as a product that will get you on the water without using a hydrofoil. Over the last few months, it's become a bit apparent that there are some quite key skills you need to be able to use a wing in non-foiling mode. And one of those is to be able to pilot your board upwind, because unfortunately, if you don't know how to do that, you tend to lose ground. So if you launch from point A and you can't edge your board upwind, you can't sail directly into the wind, that just doesn't happen. But if you can't edge your board efficiently, then you do tend to slip sideways and lose ground a bit. The way to overcome that quickly, this isn't a tutorial, but the way to overcome that, particularly on an inflatable as McConks sell, because there isn't a hard rail as such, although you've got the hard rubber release rail on the 9.8 Go Free. But the idea is that you stand on the sort of back corner of the board, and that will sort of edge you upwind. It's a bit of a skill to practice, but you can do it. And obviously you're using the wing's power to sort of aid your upwind tracking. So that's something to practice. So yes, you can use them in non-foiling mode. Are they as efficient in non-foiling mode? Not yet. But I know there's probably a bit of work being done behind the scenes to make them more efficient in non-foiling mode, because not everybody will want to use a hydrofoil. Anyway, back to the wing itself, and as I said before, it's predominantly made up of these inflatable struts, the leading edge, which I'm touching here, and then the middle strut, which gives it that sort of, from the front edge to the back is what we call the chord, so it's that chordal rigidity, if you want. And then you've got the middle material, which is where the wind will fill, and that's your sort of power. We've actually had the McConks Go Fly in various guises since it was an early prototype, and we've sort of, for Something UK, we reviewed them in a prototype form. We do that quite a lot. We take brands' prototypes across various products and look at them, because they can use that as impartial feedback. McConks did that with the Go Fly. Initially it was a 4 metre we had, but it quickly became apparent that a 4 metre for an average build person on sort of mid-average weight, and then onwards if you were a heavyweight, 4 metre wasn't quite powerful enough in the types of wind that you'll go out with to start, and that is around the sort of 10-12 knot mark up to around 15 to 18 knots. You're not au fait with those terms and what knots means versus mile an hour, for instance. Just look it up online, you'll find a load of information about wind. But a 5 metre is sort of a size that will get you going backwards and forwards on the water with enough power in that sort of 12 to 18 knot range, depending on the weight, depending on the board you're using, depending where you're using it. And that, like I say, is non-foiling mode. To foil, if you are going to foil, you can of course use this to foil. And yeah, to actually get yourself up on foil, it's probably the same wind strength, depending on your weight, depending on the board you're riding, depending on the foil you've got, depending on the area you're riding in will dictate exactly how strong the wind needs to be. For me, to be on a foil with this, I need the 15 knots. Any less than that on a 5, I can probably get up on foil, but I'm not consistently in flight. So about 15 knots. And that's, if you want less wind to foil, that's where you need to look at a bigger wing. The actual wing itself, some of the changes from the initial prototype, grab handles, you hold them onto them. The rigidity of the grab handles has been improved, so there's now more of a direct feel between your grip and the actual wing itself. There's obviously grab handles on the front, that's good, but when you sort of need to start and you pull the wing up out of the water because you start from the knees, or if you're luffing, and luffing is just holding the wing behind you. Some people use these in foil mode to ride waves, so they use the wing's power to get out, and then on the way back they ride the wave and they hold onto the front and just let the wing flap or luff behind them. Again, there's plenty of videos showing this online. But the handles rigidity has increased quite a lot. The actual fixing point for the wrist leash, you will need a wrist leash when you're using these so it doesn't blow away. That's got a bit more sort of robustness to it. Nice little feature here is the actual valve cap, which is just secured by Velcro, quite nice. You've got the lock off valve, so if you lock it off, you keep the air in there and the air in the leading edge bladder separate, so if one does puncture while you're on the water, there's a bit more of a chance that you're going to be able to use the wing to get back. I don't know, I haven't tested that feature yet, I don't want to. But that's the idea. This one as well, versus the initial prototype, has got the window in it. Jury's out in terms of windows. Some people say wings should have them so you can see through the wing and see what's downwind of you, so it's very much a safety feature. Others say you don't really need them, in that your eyes don't really go through the wing, they actually look more so at the leading edge and sort of offer at a 45-degree angle. Again, I suppose it comes down to a preference thing really and what you want. This material itself is very soft material, same kind of material that kites are made out of. It's very forgiving and soft, if you like. When it's full of wind, you'd be surprised of the power that you can get, even though it's not as efficient as a kite surfing kite or a windsurf sail. And that's because those two products have sort of battens as much as anything and built-in camber. This is a bit different. So the rigidity is not quite as much, but there's still quite a lot of power that you get from this, and it will propel you along, even if you do drag downwind slightly. But you'd be surprised at the power. The actual tips themselves, you probably can't see this on the video, and I haven't actually got room to manoeuvre this around, but you've actually got anti-scuff sort of webbing, if you like, to give it a bit of durability. Wings, as much as they can be used on water, and I've done this quite a bit, can actually be used on land with like a skateboard as well, which is actually quite fun. Obviously you have to be careful. If you fall off, you're hitting terra firma rather than the water. That's a bit more hurty than the water is, but you can do it. I've seen people use these on snowboards and skis as well, skimboards, that's another one. You know, there's a whole load of different applications that you can use a wing for. It's quite a versatile product. In terms of inflating, you may be wondering why I've got this and why, how you do it. So it's pretty easy. If you've got an inflatable SUP already, this is just the hose pipe, not the hose pipe, but the hose of the pipe from your inflatable pump, and you just have this adapter which slots onto the end of your pump, and then that locks in place and away you go. And it literally takes minutes, a few minutes, 2 to 3 minutes to inflate this properly to the optimum PSI. You want a decent amount of air in these bladders because you actually want to give this wing shape to it, you know, increase its efficiency as much as possible. Because if you let the air out and don't put enough PSI in, these bladders can bow and bend, and that doesn't make for an efficient wind machine at the end of the day. So you do need to put that in. All these details in terms of optimums and such like are on the McConks website, I believe. And actually, wing, it's pretty simple and easy to get on with and get out with straight off the bat, and that's one of the beauties of wing. It's also very light, like I say, and that again is something that's, you know, quite desirable, and also price wise as well versus a kite surfing kite or a windsurf sailing. They're nowhere near as expensive. Okay, if you want a foil, you're going to have to pay for the hydrofoil kit and applicable board, but by and large the actual wing themselves is pretty affordable, and that's why there's quite a lot of appeal to these kinds of things. In terms of longevity, they're here to stay. I can't see that they're going to go anywhere. If you're a stand-up paddleboarder who's not had any kind of windsurfing or kite surfing experience before, these might appeal to you because they are an easy, fun, relatively safe way to get yourself involved in windy sports, or your kids. I mean, my little one, 5 years old, but actually when she did it before, managed to lift a 4 metre one of these quite easily. She's not very big and she's not very strong, but she did it. And that sort of shows the appeal for the kiddie end of the spectrum. If you're a windsurfer already who may be already into foiling, or a kite surfer who's already into foiling, or a stand-up paddleboarder already into foiling, this might be another tool in the box. Where does it sit if you're a wind and a kite surfer that's already using wind sports for foiling? It's sort of middle of the road in terms of, it's not the super light wind and it's not the super strong wind end of the spectrum. So it's that midway, halfway point. And then what it is just a choice, because actually if you're a windsurf foiler, then that mid-range wind band is also good for windsurf foiling. So it's good for this, it's good for that. So then it's just, what do you want to do on a given day? Do you want to wing, or do you want to windsurf for? And it's the same for kiting as well. So that's a choice thing. Like I say, if you don't do any of these things, then this would be the logical one to go for, because the others do require a little bit more technical know-how and an instructor, a qualified professional showing you the ropes ideally. But like I say, the McConks version, the Go Fly, really well made. You know, there's not a seam or stitch out of place. It looks very like a lot of the others that are on the market. Wings have a shape. Those shapes are pretty standard. You can tweak about and play about with the design to a point, but they're all going to be of a similar shape. There are a couple out there that have got unusual design elements, and you'll find them if you look online. But this one, nice, affordable, well made, easy to get to grips with, and overall, if you combine it with, say, the Go 398, which I've already talked about, if you follow that video, you know, you've got a package there which will cover you for most options that you find when you get to the water. Hopefully that helps. Let Andy and the guys at McConks know if you've got any questions.